You know, a lot of founders find it super scary to raise prices. You might be one of them. I certainly was. But there's one thing we don't even talk about. That's how scary it is, and that's what this video is about. After product market fit, a lot of founders tell me that they know they should raise prices, but they're scared. They're scared that they'll lose their customers, and that's fair. So what happens after product market fit? You have a few pilot customers, you do a proof of concept. Your customers are super happy to give you feedback on how to improve the product. They know it's not perfect. You have a really good relationship. And now you start scaling, and your pricing is still stuck at proof of concept level, and you have to have that talk. See, proof of concept or pilot pricing leaks into your scale for one simple reason, that nobody ever ends proof of concept. It kind of just rolls over, gets extended, and sort of becomes your relationship. And suddenly your scale customers pay early stage prices. That's not because they negotiated well, it's because nobody ever made the transition. And that's not a pricing failure, that's a boundary failure. See, there's another layer that most founders do not admit, and I think we can relate to that. And that is that those early customers, man, they were there right from day one. They were in the trenches with us. They were so forgiving, they were so cool. Maybe even some good ideas came from them, and we have developed a relationship. Man, they took the risk, they believed, and charging them more just doesn't feel right. It feels like you want to reward them for believing in you early on. And yes, that's cool, but now they probably also want to move on from adventure and excitement to reliability. And you'll be surprised. Once you frame the product in terms of reliability and de-risking, they're happy to pay more. That emotion that we don't want to charge them more is usually wrong. See, you no longer ask them to fund your survival. Now you ask them to pay for reliability, and these two things are very different. And confusing these two is how a lot of founders underprice for years. Now let's zoom out to sales for a second. When the buyer changes, the process changes. It used to be super easy. You have a champion, they fell in love with your product, you have a personal relationship, you talk, you became friends sometimes even, right? And they could approve everything because they had their budget for that. Now, there will be a decision maker, sure, but there will be 5 people around that decision maker. And the reason for that is that, you know, in companies, everybody wants to look after themselves. Mainly, they're just human beings. They have a mortgage, right? So they don't want to make any decisions that risks their job. In fact, they want to get promoted next year. So what do? They make decisions in committees. And when things go really, really well and your product is a success, that decision maker surely will stand up and get the applause and shine, right? They will take all the credit. However, when things go not so well, then they can sort of share the blame. It's nobody's fault, right? See, your company is probably not used to this. This is all new and it's a bit scary. And what do sales teams do when things get scary? They discount because that feels a little bit more like control. But it's not control, it's fear dressed up as a spreadsheet. And then there's marketing. They might still be stuck in the old language of exciting new features, innovation, all that stuff, right? When the 34% of the bell curve, the early majority, they don't want to hear that. In fact, it scares them. So you have to throw out all the old sales scripts, all the old marketing, and completely change gear. You remember, what got you here won't get you there. In fact, what got you here will screw up your business going forward. So you need to really throw it all out. Whatever worked, screw it. Get rid of it. Now you have to talk reliable, predictable, risk reduction, boring. You could almost put on your website, we are the most boring product in our category, and that's why we're charging more. That will work better than innovation and bleeding edge and hey, we are the innovators here. That doesn't work anymore. Buyers have changed. They want reliable. They want boring. If this is something that sort of puts a language to something that you've felt for a long time, please hit like. That gives me a signal to go deeper on pricing. All right, I'm actually curious. I'm getting viewers from all over the world. Just pop in the comments where you're from and how hard it is to talk about pricing in your culture. That would be super interesting. I think in the next video I want to talk about the transition to the new buyer segment and how you can charge a lot more money without feeling guilty or greedy. Because if you handle this phase cleanly, you can charge a lot more and your customers will treat you better. They will like your product more and they don't complain about pricing anymore. I'm pretty sure you will look back and go, I should have done that a lot easier. And I think you really deserve a little bit of encouragement to go into this phase boldly. To boldly go where most companies need to go eventually. So if you haven't watched the other videos in this series, I'm pretty sure there's somewhere in the links here, definitely in the description. They're all around pricing, they're all around finding product market fit and scaling, not leaving any money on the table, having better cash flow, growing your business. And it's so cool when you have more resources, when more money comes in and everything just starts to get unstuck. That's that hockey stick of growth, right? It's a beautiful moment actually, but it starts with understanding pricing. All right, I hope that helped. See you next time.